Hi everyone, my name is Francisco Hernandez. I'm a technical marketing manager with VMware with more than 15 years of multi-platform integration and automation with a specialization in telecom. However, today I would like to talk to you about vRealize automation and how it leverages or takes advantage of open source technologies. And when speaking about open source and VRA, the very first thing that comes to mind is cost stream and pipelines, and especially things like Jenkins, which is very simple to integrate with VRA. I'm showing it here. I just define it as an endpoint, and an endpoint could be many things. In this case, it's Jenkins, but it could also be Kubernetes and many other open source technologies and endpoints. And once I do that, it's very simple to bring those technologies within a pipeline. Like in this case, I can easily come and define a new task, a Jenkins-based task. Let's call it my build by Jenkins. And all I need to do is just go ahead and look for the appropriate endpoint. In this case, once again, I want to use Jenkins, but as you can see, there are many of them that I can leverage. As soon as I define my endpoint, I'm going to get exposed to all the jobs that I can use within Jenkins. That simple. And not only that, all the information that I'm able to generate is going to be able to be exchanged among all these tags that you see here. But not only that, this is just an example. I can define many other tags like the Kubernetes ones that I'm showing you here. Very simple. I can interact with all these open source technology. Okay, that's great. So where else I can see open source technologies in VRA? Another great example is extensibility. As many of you know, there is a new extensibility engine called AVX. And AVX will allow me to run little pieces of logic defined in many different languages. Like in this case, I'm showing you Python, but you can actually use PowerShell and Node.js as well. But what I really want to show you here is where you actually can run these scripts, right? These scripts are based on function as a service. So when you run this on public cloud, you can actually run them in AWS or Microsoft Azure. But when you run it on-prem, it's really running on something called OpenFaaS, which is inside VRA. And this is another technology that VRA leverages in terms of open source. Excellent. So what about the cloud templates? Yeah, there are many other ways to use open source within VRA, and cloud templates is no exception. Like right here, what I'm showing you is a way for me to bring Ansible into a cloud template. And it's very simple. Just like the cost stream, I define my endpoints and I build my constructs. And in this case, I can also use Terraform. Not only Ansible, but some other open source technologies like Terraform. Like here, I'm having a couple of definitions. But not only that, VRA also allowed me to take advantage of some other technologies to initialize my application like Cloud Ini. As you can see in this directive, the Cloud Config directive, this will allow me to introduce a block of Cloud Ini instructions that can be used in public cloud. And that is great. But what if I want to do something a little bit more sophisticated? Well, for that, you can use Salt.config, which is essentially based on the open source project Salt, which will allow me to do very complex configuration management for the whole lifecycle management on my workload. Like in this case, I can define very complex states that can be applied depending on the criteria that I want to meet. But not only that, I can also define comply policies and auto-remediation tasks. And there you have it. These are only a few examples on how VRA can use open source technologies or interact with them. Thank you.